So I was getting ready to film a video last night, and then I thought, let's just check the polls one last time, and we had some earth-shattering polls come out, and we are going to look at them. We are going to pick them apart because these could indicate a complete shift in the race. So we saw the last polling dump, and we said, okay, it's the polling dump from Emerson, and we said, okay, things are, maybe trending towards Trump, but again, it's a flip-flop election. It's kind of going one way, pulling back the other. This is now the second batch of polls, and this one comes from a left-leaning pollster. This is why I'm saying I'm not overreacting to one poll or one pollster, because this is now, you've had the Emerson polls that were leaning towards Republicans. Now you've had these New York Times Siena polls, which tend to be left-leaning. You think Harris is going to be up, and Trump's up, and not just up, he's up by a big margin in states that maybe we thought were a little bit more competitive. But anyway, we can look at it now. We also have a Rasmussen poll in Pennsylvania that's supposed to be coming out, or might have come out already. I think it was 48 to 48 in Pennsylvania, which is just classic now. I mean, every poll in Pennsylvania has it even. But we can fill in the safe states. We know that all of these states are not flipping. We can talk about Texas briefly because it's at 6, and a lot of the recent polls have been sort of around 4 to 5. So Texas being 6 is, again, it's going to the right of all other polls that have been coming out at the moment. The RCP average has Harris up by 2.2 in the popular vote. That would not be enough to win the Electoral College, most likely. Again, it's distributed differently depending on the circumstances, but 3 points would really mean Harris is more likely to win. Trump's up in the battlegrounds by 0.1. So we see here Pennsylvania's got they've got Harris up, but North Carolina, Trump wins, Georgia and Arizona. So Harris is technically winning the Electoral College still on RCP, but we're seeing Wisconsin turn towards Republicans in the recent polls. We're seeing Pennsylvania, if we're getting a result out of Pennsylvania, it's going towards the Republicans. If not, it's tied. So, the reason Harris is leading is because these left pollsters come out with a +4 for her. It's not realistic at all. But yeah, just these polls are very interesting. I can't wait to get into them. Unfortunately, we need to fill in our map first. We've got Maine up here now under 10. We have this 2nd district. We have Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, DC Road, and Massachusetts. We have New York. We have Virginia, which is under 5. I'm gonna stick with it, and Minnesota, which is could be under 5. I'm gonna probably go over at this point. Okay, so these are the 93 electoral votes that we've come to know are the toss-up, and now we can analyze Arizona. So Trump up by 5 in Arizona. Now, if Trump's at, we see it's 50 to 45. If Trump's at 50.1 and Harris is at 45, that's an over 5-point lead. That would put it in the likely category. That is unfathomable. That's been unfathomable as of late. Georgia +4. That puts it in lean for sure. But again, that's trending towards likely. This is like post-debate, pre-bait and switch Biden. This is like unbelievable numbers, and it's from a left pollster. North Carolina, Trump's up by 2. This is one that Democrats think they're doing a lot better in as of late, and they're still, it's still in the lean category. It's not even tilting. Trump at 49%. That's very good for him because that's solid support. That's probably not going to flip off him. Minnesota at +5. This is why I'm keeping it over 5, because the range for Minnesota has kind of been between 4 and 7, so 5 kind of makes sense. And I just think come election night, the Blues are going to turn out more than the Reds. I don't think the energy in Minnesota for Republicans is going to be enough to bring it within 5. So we also have the Texas one, and then we have the Senate races, which Cruz is only +3. That's really quite close. He's running 2 points under Trump. Allred's running 1 over Harris. I don't know if there's much more room for maneuver in there, but we'll see. Minnesota, they keep the Senate seat there. Arizona, Gallagher ahead of Lake. So kind of nothing new in the Senate races, and then we had this Rasmussen poll, which has Biden at 12% disapproval and 24 points, or 12 points to disapprove, and 24 points going in favour of the wrong direction. But we can analyse the map. So again, Nevada doesn't open up any new paths. Harris would have to sweep the Rust Belt in this scenario to take the 270 she needs. Now, Nebraska, they were talking about, and we might have discussed this yesterday, but Nebraska winner take all, and then Trump takes Nevada. That's another path to victory for Donald Trump. And Nebraska Republicans really need to get that changed because Maine is too late to do it. So Nevada, or rather Nebraska Republicans need to get that changed because that would be a big change. It makes Nevada actually important. There's certain combinations where Nevada can decide the election, but it's really not that likely. So we can kind of put that to the side for now. Wisconsin, if you go off the most recent poll, Trump is winning Wisconsin and winning Pennsylvania. So that would put him at 291. And what did we talk about a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago now? You look at 2020, okay, it wasn't supposed to be that close of an election, but it ended up being, in terms of the electoral, or rather the actual votes, but the electoral votes had it at 300. Joe Biden was over 300. You look at 2016, that was supposed to be a nailed-on Hillary Clinton win, and Trump got over 300. You look at Obama versus Romney, and Obama got over 300. You look at Obama-McCain, Obama got over 300. You look at Bush versus Kerry, Bush got over 300. So the last time you actually had an election that was both candidates within the, on 200 or so electoral votes was 2000 in Bush v. Gore. So really, is this election going to be as close as people think? I feel like it's going to be over 300. I think Trump might sweep the states. We're seeing the energy change, and Trump is, let's say Trump does sweep the board, that's 312 to 226. You can see that happening. You could see that happening because Michigan's shifting. There's no question. The polls are saying that Michigan's getting closer. Wisconsin, Trump's led a poll, and we know the polling there is inaccurate and strange. Pennsylvania, he's leading any poll that gives us a conclusive result. And Nevada's kind of a wild card, and he actually doesn't need it to get to 300. So, but it seems like Nevada's going to vote similar to Arizona, maybe a couple points off. Maybe if Arizona's at 5, Nevada's at 2 for Republicans. But yeah, really, I think this. I don't want to overreact to it, but this may be the start of the shift towards the Republicans, and I just felt like the whole time Trump was going to take this one by a big margin. Harris, she has her time where the energy's good and they're motivating people to get out there, respond to polls, and maybe now it's fading a little bit. But I think if I was going to, obviously Michigan is a little bit of a harsh one. Harris is still up by 2 points there, and it seems all polls are going towards Trump at the moment. So if you were just to take this as a snapshot, you'd say, well, that's a little bit harsh to say Michigan is going to go there. And the energy could very well shift back to Harris. But these polls are major news because it's a left-leaning pollster coming out and saying that Trump is leading by 5 and 4 in 2 swing states. Obviously, these are probably now the most Republican swing states and then you've got North Carolina, which is probably the third most likely to go Republican. But this is it's not the fact that he's winning these states, because you'd expect him to be leading these states. It's the margin that he's winning by. 5 points in Arizona, when before we probably thought it was, 3, maybe 2.5. Georgia, probably thought the margin was 3-2. Obviously, margin of error comes into this, but Georgia's at 4. North Carolina is at 2, which, we saw a poll from Emerson that had Harris up by 1 in North Carolina. So, first of all, unusual for New York Times Siena to get on this, but are they ahead of the curve in terms of this change, this shift that we may be seeing, that this is sort of where Trump peaks in September and October, or not peaks, but we tend to see him really struggle in the polls going from the summer through into early September, and then you get after the middle of September time, he tends to rise in the polls, and then you get to election night, he always overperforms the polls. So if I was going to do a bit of forecasting, I'd probably say he does take Wisconsin on election night, because Trump is just he's unpredictable in the sense of there's a lot of quiet Trump voters. I've learned living in the UK, conservative voters. You cannot declare that you're a conservative voter, because you will be shamed if you are, say, under the age of 35. So I feel like it's the same for Trump. To say you're voting for Trump, some people in the cities that may make the difference in the metro areas where it's highly liberal, but these votes all count statewide, they may be a little bit more quiet, and then when it comes to election night, they turn out and they give Trump a much bigger vote share than people thought was possible. But anyway, reacting to these polls, the next few days are going to be interesting. We are now officially in election season, because it's all kicking off. But if you enjoyed the video, like it, comment. I want to know what you think. Share and subscribe to the channel, because we need all the subscribers we can get. We're trying to peak off of this US election, and I can only do it with your support. So please, like, share, comment and subscribe.